Welcome to episode number 103 of the Beyond Social Media Show, the podcast for marketing, advertising, public relations, and communications professionals. We're recording live on Google Hangouts on air, July 11th, 2015. We start off with a worst thing that happened in communications in the past week, and BL always has the honors. BL, what was the worst thing?
Well, I really thought the worst thing that happened was the way that Jared Fogel got crucified on Twitter. And unfortunately, he's been tarred, feathered, tried, and jailed already by the Twitterati. And, you know, the bottom line is the guy has not been arrested. He has not been accused of anything. And it's just, to me, it's sad. People started making jokes immediately about footlongs and things that were going to happen to him in jail. And I just thought it was really sad. But what also surprised me about it was that the Associated Press story that ran when it first happened actually named the PR person as if she could respond on her own, said she hadn't responded. And, you know, I looked her up, and she is a solo practitioner, not a big following, not a big social media person. And, you know, I don't know what they expected from her, but I expected a lot more from Subway. You cannot be silent. You simply cannot. They had no comment until much later in the day. You must respond immediately. You must at least acknowledge that it happened, and they didn't do it. They didn't do it until in internet time, 3 dog years later, you know. But the whole thing was sad because we were talking about this before the show. How's he getting his reputation back? He may not ever get it back.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we'll see what the investigation ultimately proves out. But as I understood it, there's somebody who's involved in his foundation or everything that is sort of the focus of the investigation, and he appears to be cooperating and everything. So you wouldn't get that from the headlines. A lot of the headlines were sort of taking advantage of and implying that he was the focus of the investigation. We don't know ultimately, but you're right about the response. I mean, there's a standard issue way that a company can respond to this type of a situation by saying we are aware of the situation.
Immediately. We were aware. We're looking into it. Start there.
Yeah.
Isn't that PR 101, Dave?
I kind of think so, yeah.
So what do you got that happened this week?
I don't know, nothing that happened really, but an article at Digiday by Shireen Pathak about video metrics and sort of the mess that is video metrics. The point of the article basically asks, what is a view? What is defined as a view in the age of mute, autoplayed 3-second videos, right? It's nothing that we didn't know before, but it bears repeating. I mean, we've talked about this before. So there's autoplay. Facebook, Twitter, they autoplay their videos through their stream. Facebook charges on a cost per view basis, but all the views are not unique. So if you and I look at the same video twice, then those 4 views are charged to the advertiser. YouTube and Twitter do not count those multiple views by the same person, so you're not charged for that. Facebook and Twitter charge after 3 seconds of viewing, but then YouTube's got their skippable true view ads that the advertiser only charge when the viewer views the entire ad. And then Hulu announced in March that they'd only charge ads viewed 100% completion, all 30 seconds of them, and they wouldn't autoplay the ads to skew the views. But then, you know, Hulu shouldn't have advertising to begin with because you're paying for it. But the whole point is buyer beware. Know what you're getting out of each channel and adjust according. There's some companies that are experimenting with 3-second video messages that are designed to be understood when they're muted. And it's not necessarily new. It's clever, but it's not necessarily new. Back in the day, Senator Paul Wellstone, Minnesota Senator Paul Wellstone, and his ad man, Bill Hilsman, made the point that ads should be understood in a crowded bar, loud bar where you can't hear it. If you're just watching it, you should be able to understand what the ad is. So,
what a good point that is.
Yeah.
Interruption advertising is so over, but you know, the whole idea of it on the internet is not, it's not happening. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about, and I have an article coming up in Ad Age about this, are the various hashtag debacles. And the question is, how is it possible that nobody sees these coming? You know, recent ones include Ask Bobby, Louisiana governor and presidential candidate Bobby Jindal. You know, ask him. Well, they ask him, where'd you go to medical school? What made you an expert on women's bodies? Things like that. The Syrian government had the hashtag summer in Syria. And they said, tell us about your summer experiences in Syria. And to nobody's great surprise, they got pictures of bleeding children and you know, bombed out villages. I mean, come on. What did you think you were going to get? Who thought of that? I want to be a fly on the wall at some of these meetings. You know, then there's Donald Trump. I'm not going to talk about him. You all know about him. And there was one time this week when there was an intern who became a hero, and you know, that was kind of cool. That didn't have a hashtag, but all of these other ones actually do. And what a shame. Like, what are you thinking? And oh, the other one that I really love was they asked E.L. James, the author of that god-awful prose called 50 Shades of Grey. They, you know, it was Ask E.L. James. So my favorite tweet was, who do you hate more, women or the English language? The answer is clearly the English language, because that was the worst book ever written. But you know what are people thinking? Not that I didn't read it, I read it. Both of them.
I think, I mean, it is clearly they're not thinking through what would the logical reaction to this be. I mean, what are the possible ramifications, sort of the things that could go wrong. But I think it's a combination of, hey, we need to do a Twitter chat, somebody suggesting that, maybe somebody with not a lot of experience, and somebody who has the decision-making power to say, yeah, that's a good idea, or no, let's rethink this, doesn't understand Twitter enough to know what could go wrong. Right? They're not using
how
it.
fast it'll happen.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really the question. And the question is, okay, so what are you going to do about it after that? That's a big question. Do you have another one, Dave?
I'm all done with my bad stuff. Yep.
Well, a couple of weeks ago, during the time that last week when we took off, Scott Scowcroft pinged me to tell me about what was going on at Reddit. And boy, was he right, because Reddit imploded. And the revolt is over the firing of Victoria Taylor, who's Reddit's former director of talent, and she was instrumental in organizing the Ask Me Anything interviews that even President Obama has done. And she was let go suddenly without warning, no explanation. And so a lot of the moderators got angry. And in the interim, somebody made Ellen Powell, who lost her gender discrimination suit against Kleiner Perkins, they made her the CEO, interim CEO. And a lot of the community leaders who run the place closed their communities, made them private instead of public, which pretty much shuts down Reddit's workings. And so she tried to placate these people who made a hideous video about her and called her Chairman Powell. And she made a video saying, we haven't communicated well and we have surprised moderators and the community with big changes. We apologize, and so on and so forth. And you know, whether her mea culpa is enough to prevent the community from going to Vote, which is a competitor, and other similar sites remains to be seen. But you know, her policies are going. She hasn't done anything wrong. She's just there. She's interim. But I mean, it's part of. Unfortunately, it's part of the anti-woman view of a lot of places on the internet, and Reddit is one of them. And you know, in my opinion, that's disgusting.
Yeah. Well, she did. Now I'm getting feedback. She did resign. She did resign yesterday. So the former CEO is coming back, apparently, from what I read. But Reddit is a weird beast, and I don't even know what to do with it. It's got some interesting stuff. You mentioned that a lot of news breaks there. The Ask Me Anything is probably the thing that most people know about Reddit. But this is an example of what happens when I'm all for community involvement, but you give your community run of the place, and they're going to be able to shut it down. So it's I don't know how they deal with that issue that they've got.
What I think is going to happen is that a lot of those people are simply going to move to a competing platform, and you know, it'll happen again there at some point, because this seems to be what is endemic on the internet is, you know, like you said, the community's running the place, and isn't that what Reddit is about? So it was just kind of sad that the way she was treated, if you ask me. So that brings us on to better news. And, you know, the first one is Thad the intern, who broke the story of the New York Stock Exchange going down this week. And he already is verified by Twitter, and he became a star. And he's an intern at the Washington Post, and he broke the story, and he beat the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal by 20 minutes. So, you know, yay. Glad to hear that.
That's great.
You know, it doesn't happen a lot that the intern doesn't get fired, that the intern is applauded. So that's got a great future ahead of him. We hope they hire him at the Washington paper.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that is coming up, which is sort of startling to me, is Amazon Prime Day, which is their global shopping event on July 15th. And they claim that they're going to have more deals than Black Friday. And it's all for Prime members, and it's a huge shopping event. It's to celebrate their 20th birthday, and it's got a photo contest with $10,000 in Amazon gift certificates attached to it, and it has the possibility of changing the way online commerce takes place, because it's really seriously going to take over the internet. And how is I mean, it's hard enough for anybody to compete with Amazon now. How are they going to compete with them when everything's on sale all over the world? So this is a really interesting development. We have to watch this one closely to see what the ramifications of it are, but I think they're going to be big.
I guess I'm going to have to start making my shopping list today. I'm an enthusiastic Prime member, so I make a list of the things I want to buy. I know I did order the Harper Lee novel, and I think it's set to be released on the 15th, if I'm not mistaken. So at least I'll have that going for me.
Well, I'm also an enthusiastic shopper, and you know, the doorman will say, "You have a package." I'm like, "Uh-oh, what did I order now?" Because it's so easy.
Yeah, it is. The one-click ordering. Amazon's got e-commerce figured out. They get down called. Yeah. So I came across a fascinating story about Upworthy. So Upworthy moving beyond their clickbait and curation history. This is from a Neiman Lab article by Joseph Lichterman, and they're reinventing themselves. So in the wake of the Facebook Clickbook headline algorithm change penalization, you remember how Upworthy was, this clickbait headlines pointing to curated cause-based liberal content. You used to see it all over in the Facebook feeds. There's Upworthy this, Upworthy that, and then one day, absolutely, it was gone. They just Facebook flipped the switch, and that sort of illustrates the dangers of algorithm jacking, right? They learned their lesson. They hired a New York Times and This American Life veteran journalist, Amy O'Leary, to lead them into the era of empathetic, cause-based journalism. So This American Life experience is significant because it's the emphasis on storytelling, right? The type of journalism Upworthy is attempting borrows heavily from sort of BuzzFeed's empathetic formula and a mix of John Oliver's edutainment, right? So instead of BuzzFeed headline like 23 days doggy daycare employees will never tell secrets doggy daycare employees will never tell you, which has two audiences, people who use doggy daycare and employees of doggy daycare places. Very specific people are going to read that. BuzzFeed has that figured out. Instead of that, Upworthy is using it to talk about political issues. So they have a headline that says 5 incredibly delicious chain restaurants you should never, ever eat at, and 1 you should but can't. And they go on. I'm going to read the first, so give you an idea of the empathetic storytelling, and read you the first part of the story. Fast food. It's kind of a big deal here in the USA. And who could blame us? Fast food is, to use the scientific phrase, tasty as all get out. But some chains, it's painful to admit, but they're bad for us. Not because they're slowly clogging our arteries. We already knew that. Bad for us in the metaphorical heart, not the literal heart. Cosmically bad for us. Bad for us in that they pretend to be our friends, but in reality, they're talking behind our back and how we have a weird shaped face or whatever. They're doing bad, shady things to the world is the point. They're delicious, so delicious, but you can't eat there. You just can't. So that's how the article is written from the beginning. The copy is inviting, it's non-judgmental, it recognizes the conflict people have over their brands that they love and the products that they love, but the companies that do bad things sometimes. It goes on to describe your favorite restaurants and why they're so absolutely amazing in that hilarious fashion, in that engaging fashion. And then it follows it up by a headline, a subhead that says, why you can never, ever eat there. And it talks about the things that they do in hilarious fashion, but it talks about why, they don't pay livable wages and everything. So it's a policy piece that's written in such a way that you want to read through it. 5,000 words, 2 million people have read that story. So
5,000 words. You are
5,000 words. Yeah.
I don't think anybody on the internet read more than 50 words. That's
exactly.
That's pretty amazing. So I look forward to seeing how that changes. It's a smart change on their part, I must say. So I came upon something, and the source was Beth Waxman Arteta, and she's Waxart on Twitter, and she pointed out the lovely campaign by Pampers called Hush Little Baby Better. The hashtag is BetterForBaby, and it's just a really beautiful lullaby video. And it has very minimal sponsor engagement. You have to kind of watch to even see that it's Pampers until the end. One of the really smart things that some brands do, which is to bring you wonderful content and stay out of the way of it. And at the end, you find out that they did it. I love, love, love that kind of content. And that's exactly what we have here. And so I just wanted to say thank you. But how I unfortunately came upon Beth's content was our mutual friend, Brian Clark, who passed away last week at the age of 46 after only 2 weeks in the hospital, died of cancer. One of the smartest, most brilliant, most sweet people ever. So thanks, sad. Beth. Yeah. Anyway, more good news.
So, you probably got this too, BL, an email from LinkedIn last week congratulating you on announcing their 1 million posters. So LinkedIn has surpassed 1 million people using their blogging platform, basically. They announced the news via email to those 1 million people. So I got this in my email, and there's 4 reasons why you'd open it. You've recently published a post on LinkedIn, and you're opening it because you figured out something to do about the post that you just posted. You haven't posted in a while, and you think that LinkedIn might have screwed up, and thinks you published something that you didn't, in which case you're going to open the email. You might wonder that LinkedIn mistakenly posted something on your behalf, which of course you're going to open up the email to find out about that, right? Or maybe LinkedIn is thinking about thanking you with a tangible benefit, which often happens. So you're going to open up to find out what they're thanking you with, right? So there's the cleverness was the headline, and the dynamic, the psychological dynamic behind it, which would make you want to open up the email. They've used this type of, so it's a great, PR tactic for them to announce the news that they've surpassed 1 million posters. They used this, we talked about this in 2013 on the show, their vanity marketing using their email system when they announced that you are among the top 1% of profile views. And everybody, of course, is going to open that up because that's a prestige thing. And it caused a social media storm at the time. A lot of people were tweeting about it. So LinkedIn's very smart about using the assets they have at their disposal, their own content, their email system, to promote themselves and to announce stuff.
Well, I keep telling clients you really need to be posting on LinkedIn Pulse, because LinkedIn Pulse will get you an awful lot of views, and you need to search optimize those posts, and you need to do them on a regular basis. And LinkedIn Pulse is a great way to send traffic to your website and your blog. And it's easy to do. They make their platform for publication is very simple. And if you don't do it, you're really missing an opportunity to do something that will help you. So Google is doing something interesting. They're testing an Uber competitor. They're testing something that they call Ride With, which is a ride-sharing service that's powered by WAZE. And you'll remember they bought WAZE, and it's a crowdsourced map company that and it's an Israeli firm, and they're using it to help Android users who commute in the Gush Dan region of Israel. And if the trial is successful, you'll see it launch in more cities with heavy, suburban population of commuters. So interesting that Google wants to compete with Uber. I guess it was.
Well, I imagine a lot of that has to do with traffic, the data that they could get from just following people around in their commutes, because it would help improve their maps. It would help improve. They probably, yeah. When I think of Google, I think of what do they want to learn, because they're often doing that, right?
Well, they already know everything about us.
Well, they need to know more.
Yeah, although they seem to think I'm a 45-year-old man, so whatever. But so this week, Radio Shack came back, and they have a dance party on YouTube with the Wu-Tang Clan, and they're in the middle of a big retail experiment. They want to see if they can take this venerable brand and its deteriorated reputation because it went bankrupt and rehabilitate it. And so the new owners are harnessing the power of song and dance, and it's really kind of cool. So Baaaack's portable wireless speakers has Wu-Tang Clan's RZA as the brand's creative director, and they now have this big deal with Radio Shack, which puts the speakers in strip malls rather than just in a few small surfing and skateboard shops where they used to be. So Orlando Jones, who's a comedian and a singer and a person who I'm always confusing with Orlando Bloom, released what was apparently meant to be a viral video reintroducing Radio Shack, and it's an in-store dance party. It's really very cute. It's had 17,000 views in 3 weeks, and so it's not exactly gone viral, but it's still pretty cool. I liked it a lot. Did you see it, Dave?
That's cool. I did not see it. I like the idea.
Like it. It's danceable. I mean, it's fun. It's one of those things that's a good time. So I think that brings us to shiny new stuff. And one of the shiny new stuffs that's not working today is Comment Tracker. What a surprise. So, Dave, you told me about one in the green room that I have to get immediately. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so as you...
Oops, we lost you. We can't.
Pets go missing because of the fireworks. Pets get scared of the booms and the bangs of fireworks, and they dash off and get lost. And so that's how I found out about this. This app was being promoted during the 4th of July weekend. It's called Finding Rover. And it's actually brilliant in its simplicity. It takes facial recognition technology and applies it to finding lost pets. So at this point, it's dogs, so Finding Rover. But what you do is you take a picture of your dog's face, you register it with the app with your contact information, and it's on file then. If your dog goes missing, then it can be scanned. If somebody finds your dog, they can scan it using this app and do a facial recognition match and find you and return your dog. The makers of the app have partnered with organizations that your pet would likely find itself in if it were lost: veterinarians, rescue shelters, the Animal Humane Society. So they're doing it very smart way. They're partnering with those organizations. So very cool. And apparently a cat version is coming as well.
A cat version. Cats get lost a lot. And then one of the reasons that happens is that most cats don't have tags on. I mean, most dogs have a collar with tags, and cats hardly ever do. And the thing that indoor cats always want to do is get outdoors until, of course, they do, and then they're scared. But I came across something this week that I think would be helpful to a lot of people. It's the hashtag, talking about hashtags again, hashtag Twitter tips. And you use that hashtag, you will really find some very good advice on maximizing your impact on Twitter. I visited it a couple of times this week, and I saw some very smart advice. So take a look at that.
Very cool. I will definitely take a look at that. I might contribute to it as well.
Yeah, exactly.
One last was shiny new stuff. This isn't shiny or new, but it is something that I hadn't realized, and so I'm going to share it with you. Google has a reverse image search. So Google Images, if you go to images.google.com and you click on the camera icon, you have the ability to upload a photo or share a photo via a URL that you paste in. And Google will take that and match other pages that include that image. So it is a good way if you're doing infographic campaigns and you want to see if people have actually used the infographic. It's a good way of tracking those results just by entering the URL of your infographic and finding out who else has posted it. And then obviously it's a good tool for copyright abuse as well of images.
Wow, that's really interesting. I wish they would do that with content, with written content, because as you well know, that gets ripped off on a very regular basis, frustratingly enough. So I just want to say one thing about what's coming up on the show, and that is that 2 weeks from today, we're going to have Ray Hiltz as a guest on the show, and I'm really looking forward to that because I'm on the panel on Ray's show, which is called Ray's Lunch Bunch. And it's just the most fun. So it's going to be fun to have him here participating on Beyond Social Media show on July 25th.
Awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. That really is. So that brings us, Dave, to your daily numbers.
Yeah, so this is quick. 96% of tweets are not indexed yet by Google. So as you know, Google started rolling out tweets 4 months ago in their mobile search. This is a survey done by, or a study done by Stone Temple Consulting. And so Google had 96% of the tweets are not yet indexed. It's taking a while for them to do that, but Google is indexing 466% more tweets than when they started 4 months ago. So they are, they're going at it. The accounts with higher authority are more likely to get their tweets indexed, according to these this examination of the data set by Stone Temple Consulting. So the more influence you have, like if you go follower wonk and you examine your site and see your social authority, the more authority you have, the more likely your tweets are going to get indexed. It's more than just follower counts, how many followers you have, but engagement rates as well. So the benefits of having an engaged Twitter account.
Well, I saw this week that my tweets were being indexed almost in real time, and then I looked at some other accounts and found out that they apparently are not being indexed more than once every couple of days. So it does seem to matter how engaged you are with your followers and whether you talk to people and thank them, but also it's about how often you tweet too, I think.
Yep.
I think that's definitely part of it. So in terms of projects that we have, I had a couple of guest posts on the Innovairre Communications blog, and one of them is a dozen tools to help manage your nonprofit social media presence, and the other one is 8 ways that your nonprofit can and both can and should be using Hangouts with examples. And so those are on the Innovairre Communications blog if you care to take a look at them. And I believe that brings us to the end of episode 103 of the Beyond Social Media show. So thank you for watching, and links to everything that we covered will be on our blog, beyondsocialmediashow.com. And we'd love for you to send us a review on the blog, and that's at beyondsocialmediashow.com/love. David Erickson is on Twitter as @DErickson. He is at eStrategy Blog and creativepr.com/blog. I'm Baaaack Ochman at What's Next. My blog is What's Next Blog. My company is maximum-plus.com for all things Google Plus and YouTube. And the show, BeyondSocialMediaShow.com on Twitter. We're at BS Media Show. And you can subscribe to our newsletter, which has exclusive content that we don't have time to cover during the show at BeyondSocialMediaShow.com/newsletter. You need our newsletter.
Yes, you do. Subscribe.
Please subscribe. And we'll be back next week, same time, same station. Thank you so much for watching.
Thanks for watching.